うちはコシオカラコ、スカーチェインのメンバーや。
What's going on YouTube? Ichi here, and we're back with another episode of my diverse character segment, where basically I draw diverse characters that I find abroad media that I think are interesting, and I draw them here so you guys can see. And today I'm going to be drawing Karako Koshio from Deadman Wonderland, which is an older anime that I've seen back in the day. So yeah, I'm doing that now. And what I was doing earlier, I was basically sketching out different gestures that I wanted her to have, or to get an idea of what I wanted her to be doing. And I committed to this particular pose, and now I'm just outlining that gesture drawing that I did of that for her pose. And during this sketching phase, you want to keep in mind of the anatomy and the proportions of the limbs to the body. And I'm just trying to keep her female shape in mind as I do that, because you don't want to draw her with a man's body, because then she won't look like a woman. So yeah. And now I'm just roughing out her features. I liked her design too in the show. Karako, she was very interesting. And for those of you who've seen it, we can talk a little bit more further about it and you would better understand it. But for those of you who haven't, it's okay. It's not really essential for this video. But I'm just going to be talking about her design and what I liked about it, and her personality, or should I say her overall character design. Yeah, like, I would imagine that her design speaks to her character, because she has like a free-spirited personality, and that's reflected in how she dresses herself, as with her tank top tied around the back, and her her kind of capri pants. I'm not sure what you call them, but yeah, you can see in how she dresses herself. There's also the version of her that she wears with the hoodie, but I chose to draw this one instead because it kind of appeals to me a little bit more. So yeah, I'm just filling in her hand now. I have a little bit of trouble because you have to keep in mind of the fingers. Like if you make a fist, you have to pay attention to where the fingers fold into one another and properly convey that. Yeah, excuse me. I didn't like that arm and the way it was posed, so I just did it over. But yeah, Karako, she was an interesting character, but sadly they didn't really do anything with her. Like, she suffered the fate of minor characters where they're just there. And that happens a lot with diverse characters. Like, at the end of the day, they're minor characters depending on the work that they're in. But for Karako's sake, that's what applies here. I mean, they introduced her in a cool way. I mean, she came off as this like strong woman who knows how to handle herself, as you've seen in the opening that I edited together. But other than her intro she didn't really have much of a role in the story, or a very important role. And at the end of the day, she just became a damsel in distress, where the other characters had to come to her rescue, and she couldn't really, protect herself. But it kind of contradicts her power, because they write her in a way that she's very powerful, because her power itself is basically like an attacking shield, where she can shield herself with her blood, because that's the theme of the show. Is these characters are, well, I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm sure you guys in the comments will correct me and let me know. But basically, these guys are prisoners, and they're all fighting, and it's like battle royale to the death, and they're able to use their blood and manipulate it in different ways as weapons. And for Karako's power in particular, she's able to materialize the blood and harden it as like a shield, or something of a very dense caliber, which she can use to go on the offensive. So with those ingredients, and I mean those conditions, not ingredients, those conditions, she should be a very powerful character. But like I said, she's a minor character, so they have really no intention on focusing on her. And I don't know if it's because she's a woman, or if it's a combination of the two, of her being diverse. But yeah, it's just wasted potential. Yeah, I didn't just spaz out there. My computer sucks, frankly. It's terrible. And for me to do these videos, like, I have to go through this arduous ordeal where, because I'm running the capture software now while I'm drawing this, to get the footage. But while I'm doing it, it kind of lags a little bit, because my computer can't handle the working programs together. So it's kind of lagging a bit, and it upsets the pressure of my pen on my tablet. So that's why you'll see points where, like, the strokes are super heavy, or something gets deleted, or I just spaz out like that, because the computer can't keep up with my strokes. But yeah, that's just the things I gotta deal with to make these videos for you guys at the moment. But yeah, back to Karako here. I've pretty much gotten her general form and shape down based off of the designs on the right that I'm using as a reference, and I'm just going off of that as I fill in her design based on my own imagination. Yeah, pretty much gone through the sketching phase and roughed everything out, and I've transferred programs over to Paint Tool Sai, because Paint Tool Sai I found to be most effective when it comes to coloring, and it's a pretty accessible program to use. So I use that for my coloring. In the last program that I used to sketch things out was a Manga Studio. I have used that in the past to create different mangas. I created 2 mangas, comics, whatever you want to call them. If you want to see more on that, I can actually show them and talk about the process. But that was back in when I was kind of immature to comics. I mean, I've been drawing comics for a long time, but I was never really good at them. I'm still learning and advancing with practice, but I can walk you through what I've done, or how I've tried to improve, or pointers or tips, or whatever you guys want to see from me drawing comics and manga. But yeah, so yeah, now I'm just outlining Karako here based off of the initial sketch that I did. Yeah, I mean, I wish they'd done more with her. She looked really cool. and she's a pretty solid character. I mean, I haven't read the manga because I'm sure that they go into more detail and into, you know, the individual characters, because comics tend to do that versus their anime adaptations, where they kind of keep it short because they usually have like a 12 or 24, it depends on the studio, budget. So they might cut story content out, or, you know, keep things like very simple. But for those of you who have read it and are big fans of the show, that, you know, you can let me know and tell me about it, because yeah, I'm sure you guys know a lot more than I do. Like I always say, we're all here to learn from each other. Yep, I'm just feeling her hand now. My hands, I always have like a hard time with hands. Like, they're very tricky. I use my own hands as a reference, because I think that's the best way to do it. You know, draw from life. So, like, drawing the hand itself is like complex, because, you know, you have to draw the hand itself, but you also have to keep in mind of the individual fingers that are attached to the hand. So you don't want to have them looking weird or deformed, or, you know, just not matching up with the actual hand. And you have to be careful about how you pose it as well. You know, it's all very complicated, very, very complicated. But it's something that you learn with time and patience and practice. Now I moved on to the coloring part of this video, and I'm just filling in her colors based off of her design. Yep, coloring is just tedious. It's just, you know, following the blueprint of the colors and just making sure they match up. That's basically what I'm doing here. Yeah, so this pose that I picked, I thought it was cool. I thought it matched her personality a bit. I kind of wanted to show her off, but I don't know, there's a lot of other things I could have done. I'm happy with this pose though. I was fine with it, so I decided to go with it. Drawing in her shoe here. Oh yeah, when you're drawing in like limbs for the body, you want to, you don't want to draw them with straight lines, because our bodies aren't straight, they aren't angular. Well, some certain points are, but generally the limbs aren't. Like, our body curves, especially our arms and our legs. So you want to keep that in mind when you draw limbs, that they curve and they move and they're three-dimensional. They're not not exactly, you know, stiff or very very flat. You don't want to have them look flat. By having the lines be very straight and angular, it gives that impression of being flat when the image that you're drawing is 3D. So you want to keep that in mind. Oh, there's a big jump here. Yeah, like I was saying before, like, my computer sucks. So my computer basically lost the footage that I had of me coloring up to this point, shading in up to this point. So that's why there's a big jump in like the quality, how it goes from like non-shading to, you know, having shading. And there's nothing I can do about it, so I just had to suck it up and move past it. And yeah, that's just, you know, the burdens that we have to deal with, right? Alright, we're coming up on the minute mark here. Alright, well, like I said, this is another entry into the segment. I'm going to keep this up and try to be consistent If there anything you guys want to see, just let me know. I'm more than happy to oblige. You know, I want to do digital and traditional drawings as well, so I'll be able to do a variety of things. I draw comics and manga. I can do tutorials on that or show you guys that if you want. Like I said, just let me know, and you know, I'm happy to deliver for you guys. Alright, this has been Ichigekix, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.